Hi, all freeze cracked here. Hey, one time before I did a little video on paleo flake tools and stuff, and I'm not going to cover that same ground again. But some discussions with some people, I wanted to do something on petrified wood, and so I'm going to talk for a while about petrified wood. And if you're not interested in petrified wood from the Gulf Coast of Texas area and the artifacts and stuff, um, turn this off now. Or anytime you want to. Petrified wood is mostly in relatively small pieces where I am, but it comes in a lot of different colors and shapes. But a key thing about much of it is not very well silicified. I mean, it's a rock, um, but the thing is that it wasn't sufficiently silicified, a lot of it, to completely lose its characteristics of the grain and the structure of the wood, and therefore in a number of instances you will find it broken in rectangles along or across the original planes of the wood. It's extremely common in those kinds of shapes. I mean, you just find it bunches and bunches in those kind of shapes. And it was of use in those kind of shapes to the old boys. And that's what I want to talk about. Online, a lot of people post a lot of things and they say, oh, you know, what is this? This is an artifact, or is this a geofact, or whatever. Well, the brain plays tricks on us all, and our brain, when we look at something, tries to fit what we're looking at into whatever our database is of things we've seen in our lives. And sometimes it works correctly and sometimes it doesn't. So I wanted to show you some stuff. The point here is to try and show you some stuff and sort out how to decide if something is an artifact or not. Like, for instance, this piece right here. Well, one of the things that was done quite a bit is sharpening corners or protrusions to get a good force on a cutting edge there, or sharpening along one whole edge. So in this particular case, this is a fairly old and somewhat rounded off piece of wood, and then the back side here, this means that this side of it was split off another piece of a larger piece of wood later, because it isn't rounded off by environment. However, an old boy could have picked this up and said, I got a nice bevel in there, I got a nice sharp edge, and use it as a scraper, just like it is. Nature did it, he used it. Hit on there, come in to get a sharp edge right along here to use as a knife. Now, the problem with that theory in this case is if you can't see any used wear and you can't see actual discernible flakings that from your own experience you know were flakes taken by a human, then you'll never know for sure. Could this have been used as a tool? Yes. Was it? I don't know. Okay. So that's kind of how the process sort of goes. Oh, look, somebody made scratches in this. Well, no, they didn't. Why would they have? You know, some wood, when it gets petrified, just was knocked down by a storm, covered up in an anaerobic environment, and petrifies like the day it was born. Some wood rots a while and becomes petrified, permineralized, if you will, in a rotten somewhat state. I think it's just stress cracks in the wood or shrinkage cracks or bugs or whatever. But there's nothing about them that says, oh, a human did this. So you don't want to have that leap in logic. Here's another one. You'll never know. That's a nice little conchoidal semicircle that would have been great as a little spoke shave or whatever, but it's not the normal depth and roundness of a lot of spoke shaves, and it definitely is sharp, and it looks like it might have a flake or two taken in there. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was a little expedient tool somebody used, but I'll never know. And sometimes you'll have other little dings on it that are curious and interesting that help you sort of want to fall off the fence, but I don't necessarily fall off the fence. Here's another one. Well, these shapes, could it have broken like that? Yeah. But what about this? These are sort of beveled looking, and there's several of them. See, it's the aggregate evidence. If there's one knockoff that's kind of looks like somebody could have done it for a useful purpose, okay, maybe that happened accidentally. But there's one, two, and then one back the other way and another one back the other way. Like, well, I think maybe a person did that. If they did, though, they probably just threw it down. Sometimes you might see evidence of heating on something, but that could mean it just was in a fire. But you look at how sharp all this is, and you see you start to see on some of this stuff, you see the little serpentine kind of little squiggles. And when you see serpentine squiggles, you start thinking, maybe a person did that. Let me show you this one. This looks like, see how sharp this is right here? Broken down that way. Very sharp. You got a thing here, it comes to a point and it's sharp. Got a broken edge over here. But here's the problem with this. This all looks pretty new. And I don't see individual little flakes that look like a person did them. So this may just be naturally have been broken by something. I found it in an area where that could have happened. Here's another one. You see this and you're like, look at this little thing. They broke that off and they left this little piece up here and they took a flake here and a little flake there and a flake there and they made a little graver cutter kind of thing. And there's another little ding there. A little ding there is interesting, but I don't know about this because to me it looks really fresh on the break and everything. I don't see individual tool marks on the little flake looking areas, so I'm going to fall off the fence on I'll never know, or I'm just going to assume it's nothing. Well, by saying I assume it's nothing, I'm just going to dismiss it from my mind. Okay, let's talk about something that I think might be something. This is interesting. Sometimes the old boys around here, when they got a biggish piece of wood, they would, out of sheer folly and bad judgment, attempt to do something with it, even if it was the worst piece of non-silicified crap on the planet. And this one kind of falls in that category. This thing does not have good permineralization and silicification to it. But I still think that they may have taken it. I don't know how it ended up exactly like I did. You find a number of things that look like they started out trying to mess with them and then gave up for whatever reason. And a characteristic that you see kind of common when that happens is that they will knock down on one side to make that side thinner and then flip it and knock down on the other side and make that side thinner. So when it's beveled in opposite directions, that's a sign that, hey, maybe it is an accidental thing that just happened from hitting a rock. It's pretty unusual for that to occur if you think about it on its own. Let me show you some stuff that I know are tools, and you're going to think, wow, is he losing it? No. I call these jet skis. I have no idea what they did with them. I think they could have been like wood gouging type tools or adze type things or whatever. It's a big old blocky piece of petrified wood, and they came in and knocked off of it, and you can see the above, lower, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it comes all the way around. There's a bit like on the front. Little duckbill kind of thing. And you say, well, nah. Well, yeah, there's big hits in here too. It continues down here. We say, nah, that's probably not a tool. It's probably just random. No, nature doesn't do that. But even if they did, let me show you another one. Here's another one. And it's beat on all over. And you can see these marks. And you can see the little bit edge of it coming all the way around again. And you can see these flake scars. That's not nature doing that. Those are flake scars. So there's two of them. Well, here's another one. And they're all different from each other, but they're all strikingly similar in the way that the tool was created a little bit different around the bit end and everything. Now, this is an extension of the concept, but I don't know what to think about this. It's broken off here, but this is interesting. It looks almost like it was at some point flaked along there, and you got the sharp edge on there, and you got kind of like a little bit looking area around here. But on here, it almost looks to me like it's ground. I don't know if you can see striations along there. One thing I wanted to tell you, a lot of the stuff that you find is new, relatively speaking, where it hasn't been broken for a zillion years and it hasn't been exposed to the elements. And this is like a little knife. And you say, well, how do you know it's a knife? Well, okay, it was broken off here. Broken off a core here. You can see right there, it looks like a hammerstone bulb on it. You see right there, so this flake was knocked off. And you say, well, that's just a piece of debitage. Well, wait a minute. You got secondary flakes taken along here to sharpen this edge. It's a knife. You got a refining flake up there to keep that end sharp too, and another one right here. I mean, it's a knife. They didn't, but what I want to show you is that's pretty new. Okay, here is one that's considerably more worn, and it's pretty sinuous too in the way that they did it. So they may have kept that sinuousness so that they could go down even more and resharpen it if they wanted to, because it's a pretty big piece of material. But they, in many cases, the point I was trying to make is they come in different conditions, and sometimes they've been worn so much and polished so much by nature that you don't recognize if you don't really know what you're looking at. But they don't work the whole piece just because they could. Look at this. Okay, look. Just a piece of petrified wood. But here, you've got a couple of flakes taken to make a sharpened edge. And you say, well, that's just accidental, a rodent knot on it. Rodents don't gnaw petrified wood as far as I know. But look here, this corner has got a couple of flakes taken off of it too to bring it to an edge. And it's somewhat worn, so you can't really see that it was relatively sharp at one point. But somebody nibbled on it to do something. Okay, I know. I'm probably straining your credulity. What do you think about this? All right, the first thing I want to say about this is you find high-grade material that is extremely silicified, and a fair amount of it that they really liked is like palm wood. And the reason it's so silicified is that those trees have a different vascular system when they're alive, and they have all these little straws, little tubules that go down the tree to carry nutrients around and everything. And they therefore when they I guess when they get buried, I think they mineralize easily. It's softer wood, it goes away quicker. The straws probably help the minerals and stuff get into the thing quicker. But okay, you see all those flakes? Not natural. See all that? It's not natural. And then look at this. Yeah, I guess that could be just a ding, but see how this is done? Could it have broken that way accidentally? Yeah. Do I believe it did? No. But maybe. We can agree to disagree on any of these that you don't believe. Okay, look. Again, the beveling. This way, and then this way. And then a high pressure point. They like that because that's really good if you need to just really like saw through something. You know, that high pressure point puts a lot more force in the cutting than if you just have a straight edge. Okay. What else? I need to talk quicker. Look at this. End scraper type thing, but then the other end was sort of refined to have a sharp edge on it. Another scraper type edge there. A lot of things you see are multi-tools. They would put several features to it. I don't remember why I want to show you this one. Oh, this is kind of interesting. It looks kind of, this is broken more recently. This is polished after it was broken a long time ago. Not super long, it doesn't have much of a weathering rate. But see, these flakes look relatively new, and this looks like use wear. That little battering and stuff like that looks like use wear. So I think they use it for something. I really like this tool. This was like a pebble of solidified wood, and it's so solidified that the wood is completely gone, so it more or less turned into a jasper, and it got rounded off in the environment so much that you really don't see any trace here. But I've just seen enough rocks from my area that I tend to recognize which ones originally had an origin as a fossil versus the ones that never did. But look what they did. They came and they hit along here, and they hit along there, and then they came and they took a couple of flakes across here, and they made them a little, I don't know what you call it, like a little gouge or something. But I just really like it a lot. This is another point about the way the old boys did stuff around here. They didn't feel any obligation to make something that looked like anything that you or I or anybody else would think was okay. Now this probably had this void in it and broke on them. But whatever this thing was, this tool, they were interested in getting an extraordinarily sharp edge. And an edge like this where you alternatively take flakes with no abrading and no retouch is extraordinarily sharp. And so whoever was making that just wanted an edge. That's just a big old thing. Looks like it may have had a natural bevel that they refined a bit, but you can see a little bit of dings on it. I don't even know why I want to show that one. This is another example of something you go, well, was it a tool or wasn't it a tool? I think it was, and the reason I do is because a couple of these refining flakes looked almost like they're trying to make a bit front end, almost like those big three weird things I showed you. But I'm not sure. You do see a lot of things where the back is relatively wide and it tapers down to an edge on one side, and you can see refining flakes on that side, and they would use it like a knife. And I've got some classic looking knives, but I didn't want to show you anything that looks too, oh yeah, okay, I see what that is. I didn't want to show you those because I figured, well, just trying to go over stuff that's coming. I can see little flakes in there, and I can see flakes up there too. So this whole edge was somebody's tool. You should be able to see the refinement on this. It's old. It doesn't look like it was used anytime recently. I mean, it's old, little high sharp thing that may have gotten dulled or broken off, but you can definitely see that it was a tool. I don't know why I had that one. That one wasn't much of nothing. This is another one of those where, well, was it or wasn't it? I'll never say I'm positive, but almost looks like I see a little bit of useware and stuff on that. This one is getting a little more towards a classic thing, but there's nothing at all about that bottom that looks like a tool. But once you see the edge, that's the giveaway right there. Don't look at the big picture. Look at the refinements. Look at the fine stuff and go, is that natural or did a human do it? And sometimes you just got to look for 3 or 4 little features. You just say, okay, well, I see 1 flake. Is there 2 or there's 3? Especially do you see them on either side, sinuous. Trying to see if there's anything else interesting. This is kind of cool looking to me. My camera won't focus on it because it's too shiny. I just like this. Not sure what it was all about, but I like it. Okay. Don't want to beat a dead horse too much here. Cool rock. Anyway, I don't need to show you. I don't need to just keep showing you stuff. I do see a fair amount of things like this where you get a big squared off piece of petrified wood or whatever, and it looks like they were trying to put a base on it, and then you're like, well, no, it can't be real, you know, this is not a tool, you know, what was the deal? Well, you do see a lot of stuff. It's almost like when they were bored or something, walking along, pick up a rock, bam, bam, okay, I put a base on it. Now, is there anything else I can do with it? No, and throw it down. But you can see a little bit, it looks like there may have been a little bit of attempt there to do something. This is another one where, okay, this was broken off a larger rock like that. No refinement over here. But this edge looks pretty sharp, and it almost looks like there's a few little flakes on there. Am I sure? No. But I am sure about this, and you're just going to laugh at me for the rest of the night, and you're going to think, oh, I'm such an idiot. But, okay, the whole reason I did this was because of this, which I found this today. Are you ready? Are you sure? Okay, 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. Bam! And I said, bam! And you're like, no way, no how, that's not real. Yes, it is. So that's not an artifact, no way, no how. Yes, it is. Okay, first of all, what are the odds that it would break one of those ways? Yeah, that could happen. What are the odds that it would break out into there? Yeah, maybe. What are the odds it would break out there? Yeah. What about inward like that? Not very likely. Inward like that, not very likely. Put them all together. What are the odds they would all break that way? Not likely at all. And, okay. I know this looks terrible and it looks probably natural. But there's a little bit of something that way. There's a little bit of something this way. This looks like it hinged up into there when something was done. This is slightly beveled that way, and that's polished a little more than some of the other. Okay? This is flat. That would be expected. Let's go around it though. That doesn't look like anything. Well, wait a minute. Look at this. Look at this. Right here, you see flake taking this side, and then you see a flake taking this side. You see a little flake taking that side. Little one there, little one there. This whole area is relatively sharp. And it comes down, and the last thing is right in there. Did nature do that edge right there? I don't think so. Okay. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I've definitely been disbelieved before. Anyway, that's all I had. I don't want to start showing you fossils or other stuff because I've got loads of stuff. Wait a minute, I'll show you one more thing. I think this is cool. And it's just sitting right here, so I'm going to show you. Overshot. There's the bulb. There's the cortex. And this is not petrified wood. This is Edwards flint. Dang it. Little flake knife. Okay, I'm stopping. Bye.